The cloud. Okay, Chelsea, I just want to welcome you, and I'm so excited that you are here to pour into us and our team. And I know that you are an amazing leader. You have a huge team being Sapphire, and then also your husband has an emerald leg. And so that's leading a very large organization. I always see you being authentic and loving, and you are consistent and passionate. And I think those are all amazing qualities, and we just cannot wait to hear what wisdom you have to share with us tonight. So take it away.
Oh, you're so sweet. I love that. Hopefully it's some wisdom. We'll see. I'm really excited and just honored to get to share with y'all tonight. And really just get to share with a group of leaders because I feel like this is where the Lord has had me really this past year. I'm going to share my quick story with Plexus in just a minute, but I really feel like the Lord has had me digging into leadership and just kind of digging into all those places that are really uncomfortable the past year. And so that's kind of what I want to share a little bit tonight is just kind of share some of those mindset shifts that I've been having that have kind of impacted the action that I've been taking, that have really put the momentum back in our team. I'll kind of share through my story in a few minutes. We have been through all the seasons, as I'm sure you guys have too. Ups and downs, desert seasons, is it ever going to rain again, Lord, seasons. And I just hope that y'all can walk away from this just encouraged tonight. One of the things that Christina Williams said to me in Hawaii this year, and it has stuck with me ever since, we were just kind of going back and forth on, what are you doing, for your team? What's working for you? And one of the things she said to me is that, we are just all women out here just trying to figure this thing out. Like nobody has the magic sauce. Nobody has the magic message. Like we are just all out here trying to figure this thing out. And so I just want to encourage y'all with that tonight, that wherever you kind of find yourself on your journey tonight, whether you're on top of the mountain right now, whether you're in the valley, we're just all in this, figuring this out together. And I just love that we have this kind of one Plexus culture where we can just kind of come together. What's working for you? What kind of things are you experiencing? And we can just kind of work through this together. So that's kind of what I'm going to do tonight. I'm just going to give my quick story with Plexus just to kind of give y'all an overview and kind of give a snapshot of what has brought me to this place in my business. And then hopefully just give y'all some helpful mindset things to think about as you're working through your own mindset, and hopefully just some practical things that can help you apply to your daily action. If we have time, Hannah, I don't know how long these usually go. I'll probably talk for 20, 30 minutes. And if we want to do Q&A at the end, I'm an open book and we can kind of chat through that too. So real quick, I'm going to try to tell my story quickly. I've been with Plexus for about 8 years. And like I said, it's been a roller coaster. Just like most of y'all probably would love for y'all to just share in the chat. Drop me a 1 or an emoji or something if your journey has not been linear. Whether you're gold all the way up to diamond, drop me a 1 in the chat if your path has not been a straight line, because I know mine has not been a straight line. I thought it was going to be straight when I started. I had this vision for this and I'm like, Lord, why are we traveling backwards? But I think that's the beauty of this, is that that's really where the growth happens in this. And that's the thing that I've really, really come to learn these past 8 years, is that there's beauty in the hard times. So I started for the products back in 2016. I kind of got tricked into a 3-way call with my Jewel upline. On the pretense of talking about my BioCleanse dosage. I was having some bathroom issues with BioCleanse. And she was like, oh, you need to jump on, the girl who signed me up, you need to jump on a call with Stephanie. She's going to get you ironed out. And we quickly shifted in that phone call or that Zoom call from my bathroom habits to me actually being like jaw dropped and in shock with how much money the girl I was talking to on Zoom was making with Plexus. And about 40 minutes later, when that Zoom call ended, I remember walking downstairs into the room right here, the other side. And I looked at my husband and said, I'm going to do this thing. I said, this is our way out. I knew it in my heart as deeply as I can express, like in that moment, that God was making a way for this next season of life for us. And I'm so thankful for that conviction. Like I still have that same conviction 8 years later. Like I knew beyond the shadow of a doubt, this was our way out. And then if I was willing to be coachable, if I was willing to dig into this thing and do it, he was going to do something with this. And kind of where I was at in that season, I was an elementary teacher. I taught for a total of 12 years. And at that time, I was teaching at a hybrid homeschool. After our kids were born, we had 2 kids at the time. My oldest was 3. I had a newborn baby. And the Lord had really been present on my heart to homeschool our kids. And the plan had always been that when my oldest, Emma, kind of went to kindergarten, that I was going to return back to public school full time. And the closer that got for us, we were about 2 years out at that point, the bigger the lump in my throat kind of got, that I did not want to do that. I did not want to leave. I know that's not everybody's dream, but I did not want to leave my babies. The Lord was telling me like, this is what we're doing, but I didn't know how we were going to do that because my husband is also a public school teacher and a coach. So the math just wasn't mathing for me to stay home with kids and even to stay teaching at this part-time school. Full-time teachers don't make any money. Part-time teachers certainly don't make any money. So I hadn't been actively looking for something else. I had really never considered looking outside of my skill set. I really kind of thought that teaching and tutoring was all I was equipped to do. Network marketing was certainly nothing I'd considered, but that big, bold three-way Zoom that day did it for me. And so even if you don't hear anything else from this call tonight, like if you are not doing three-way messages with your customers, you need to be doing them, because I know for a fact I wouldn't be sitting here on this call and our life would look radically different if I had not gotten on that first three-way Zoom with my upline. So if you're not doing three-way messages, start doing them, because that was absolutely the ticket for me. Okay. And so I remember that feeling of like, this is it. This is what we're going to do. So I started sharing, I started the products in May, started sharing in July, kind of went silver by the end of that month. I grabbed my mom, my sister, my best friend, kind of like everybody says. But I was kind of a slow grower after that. I didn't have a social media presence at all. I kind of posted once a month about my kids. I was super cringe when I started posting, and I knew that it was going to be baby steps for me. I knew that I had a lot to learn. And I really think that was the thing that got me through those first couple of years. And honestly, since then, it's just been my willingness to be coachable, to kind of go into this and say, I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't know what it takes to get to the top of this, but I know this isn't rocket science. And if I can figure out how to teach 30, 11-year-olds, I can figure out how to post on social media and cast vision for some other women. So that's kind of what I purposed to do. I decided I was going to be coachable. I watched every YouTube training I could get my hands on. I became a student of Jules that I admired, who were kind of in alignment with the team, kind of team I wanted to grow. I asked my Jewel upline for trainings from the Jules page all the time. And I was coachable and determined. But like I said, my trajectory was a little bit slower. My path was kind of that I ranked up every 6 months. So I went silver in July, gold that next January, senior gold that next October, I believe it was. And then I went ruby after 2 years. So not a super slow path. Like I was happy with that. We were making good money. So I went ruby in, I think June, earned silver stars that summer, which was incredible. Went senior ruby a month later. And I was just kind of at this mountaintop moment in my business. I was like, Emerald is just inevitable at this point. Like every 6 months, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. And I'm just going to keep showing up, and the people are going to keep coming. And that's when I went through my first stall out period. That 6-month mark when I was supposed to kind of be ranking up kind of came and went. I'd actually fallen backwards in my points. A year rolled around. I was actually backwards from where I was a year, prior, when we were on top of the mountain, silver stars, senior ruby, all things. And I was working so hard, y'all. I was burning at both ends. I felt like I was busy, but things were just not moving. And it's really where I had one of my first biggest breakthroughs that really continues to serve me to this day is that, the only way I kind of had this notion that the only way for me to fail with Plexus was to quit. I think probably we've all heard that, the only way to fail is to quit. And I want to challenge that thought, because that was a thought that I'd had up until that point. But what I really realized is that it wasn't enough to just keep going. You have to be willing to keep growing. You have to be willing to keep shifting and changing and adapting your mindset and adapting your actions and adapting your processes to fit with what's no longer working and what's no longer in alignment. And that was really the first season that I had truly experienced that and really had to fully embrace that. It wasn't just about showing up to team calls. It wasn't just about posting on social media and checking a box. I needed to be intentional about growing myself and growing new leaders. And it was really the first time I think I hit that leadership lid. I don't know, has anybody here read John Maxwell's 12 Laws of Leadership? And he talks about that leadership lid. Some people hit it at silver, some people hit it at diamond, but everybody's going to hit it when you hit that place that you've just kind of maxed out on your skills and your abilities, and you have to intentionally change in order to attract the next level of leaders into your business. So it was kind of during that season that I evaluated where I was. I knew the next step for me was to kind of branch out and go to Instagram. I had grown completely on that point, up until that point on Facebook, but I had seen the potential with Instagram. I knew that I I knew that I had what it took to build there. And I just kind of knew that was the next step for me. I'm not telling anybody you need to move to Instagram if you're on Facebook. If it's working on Facebook, stay there. But that was just kind of my next step. So after 2 years of kind of learning and failing and super cringe content, y'all, we kind of figured it out a little bit and we went Emerald in 2020. I think, Hannah, that was the year. Was that the year you went Emerald too? We were kind of on top of the world again. We had a cream team and crazy momentum, crazy energy. I developed my first Emerald that year, my sister. So it was so much fun just kind of getting to do this with her. But right after that season, we kind of hit another valley. My Emerald sister kind of started taking a step back from this business. Several of my other gold, senior gold, Ruby leaders kind of started backing out. 2021 hit everybody kind of hard. And I just kind of found myself kind of spiraling backwards again. And it was during that kind of valley, I did a lot of personal development. I read so many books during that season, so many books, really started getting into podcasts and just working on myself, working on my leadership, working on my mindset. That was just a really hard, I think, reflective season for all of us, just kind of going through that COVID season and just kind of figuring out what our priorities in life were and kind of where we were going. And I will say that season really served me well. Like I didn't grow at all. I went backwards in points. We maintained Emerald, by the grace of the Lord, but just kind of fell back in points. And I'm really grateful for that season because I feel like it really served me well. And again, it was part of that dip in the linear path. But I feel like I grew myself enough and I kind of got back on the path that 2 years later, we were able to go Sapphire in 2022. And I promise I'm not going to spend too much time on my personal story, but it is important to get to where I was today. We went Sapphire in 2022, actually earned the Portugal trip that year. It was the first year that I met Emily Burgess, and it was just kind of a mountain peak moment. Like I'd never been to Europe. I'd never really traveled to that part of the world before. Was just kind of in awe of all these like Plexus celebrities that I was seeing over there, on this bougie trip. And I remember when I got home, after I kind of came down off the high of Portugal, it felt like everything kind of stalled out. And I went through what I can only describe as just kind of a confidence crisis. I kind of fell into major imposter syndrome. And like I said, that trip was incredible for me. I made so many connections that the Lord has used since then. But I left that trip feeling like, what have I actually done to earn this? Like, who am I to be on this trip? I'm sitting at a table with Brooke Hemingway and Jessica Heffley and Alec Clark, and I'm chatting it up with Charles' wife at dinner. And I'm just in this room with all these huge personalities and women who are wildly successful in their business. And I just sort of spiraled into this, who am I? I don't belong in this room. And I wonder if anybody else has felt that way, whether you're gold and you're kind of thinking, I don't belong in that emerald room. Like, I don't think I'll ever belong in that room. Or maybe you're emerald and you're thinking, I don't think I'll ever belong in the diamond room. Or maybe you're just an introvert like I am, and the thought of team calls terrifies you, and the thought of being on a stage one day terrifies you, and the thought of building a huge team honestly terrifies you. Like, wherever you are, if you've achieved it and you're feeling imposter syndrome, or you haven't achieved it yet and you're already feeling it, it's a very real thing. And so I kind of stayed in that spot for about a year. Like I decided I was listening to the lies that I wasn't good enough, that I needed to have a certain kind of personality, that I wasn't, charismatic enough. I wasn't bold enough. I wasn't flashy enough. I didn't wear enough pink, or whatever it is, the lie that I told myself. It was really a dark time for me in my business. Like, here I was, Sapphire and brand ambassador, had just earned a trip to Portugal. And this is the power of our mindset, y'all. This is the power of the lies that we will believe in this, that we don't belong in the room, that we don't have a seat at the table. And so I just want to speak against that for anybody who's maybe feeling that way, or you found yourself in that space. You belong at the table. That's one of the things, like, and I know Hannah will feel the same way. I sit on these trips that we get to take to Hawaii and leaders retreat, and I look around the room and there's 100 different personalities sitting around that pool. There's 100 different body types. There's 100 different backgrounds. There's 100 different paths to these different levels in Plexus, and it doesn't look the same for anybody. There's a seat at the table for you, and you can do it your own way. You don't have to do it like Brooke Hemingway's doing it. You don't have to do it like Hannah's doing it. You don't have to do it like Emily's doing it. You don't have to do it the way, please don't do it the way I've done it a lot of the times. Do it your way. There's a seat at the table for you. All right, so let me wrap this up because I want to get to the good stuff. So about a year, that's kind of where I stayed. I just kind of found myself in this place of just feeling stuck. I knew I was still where the Lord had me. I knew that God still had me here. He had work to do on me, but I was just really feeling stuck and so helpless on how do I make myself believe that I belong in the room again. And I share all of that because I believe that every piece of that journey, every single piece of that journey has been necessary to bring me to the place where I am now and where I believe that I belong in the room, where our team culture is thriving again, where I'm attracting new business builders monthly and they're duplicating, and my mindset and my processes are more rock solid than ever. And I truly, for the first time, believe that we have the team in place right now who is going to take us to be a diamond team. And it's just such a radically different place than I was in a year ago. And so I share that because I want you to know that no matter where you are tonight in your business, in your personal mindset, in your personal life, you can be in a completely different place a year from now if you decide that you're going to be. And it really starts with that. And I think so much of this mindset work can just feel so like hokey, and it can feel so out there and so woo-woo, but it really starts with the belief that in October of 2025, I can be in a completely different place than I'm in right now if I simply decide that I'm going to meet. If I decide that I'm going to I'm going to take a different line of thought. If I'm going to decide that I'm not going to sit in these lies that I'm telling myself, and I'm going to allow that mindset to shift my action. And so that's my prayer for tonight is that, I'm going to kind of pull in Alec Clark because I'm kind of sharing some of these things and some of these are just 1-degree shifts, y'all. Like these are not I haven't paid thousands of dollars for coaching. Like these are just 1-degree shifts. And so I just want y'all to take one thing from the call tonight. He always says that at convention, you're going to hear 1,000 different ideas. You're going to hear 1,000 different things. I want you to take one thing from the call tonight. And maybe you've already heard it. Like maybe it was the 3-way message. Maybe it was something I've already said. I want you to take one thing and allow it to be a 1-degree shift for you to change your trajectory, to change where you're going to be in August of 2025. So that's my heart and that's my prayer for y'all tonight. Okay. So I think the first thing that, last fall when I was kind of in this place of really feeling stuck, I think the first thing that really got me out of my funk and really got me out of feeling stuck is somebody who had the courage to ask me. And I think this is really big when we're coaching our own teams. Sometimes we can get in our own heads and it's like, she hasn't really invited me into this space to kind of coach her. And she's a friend of mine. I don't want to say the hard thing. I don't want to ask her the hard question. I want to challenge you to ask the hard questions, because the thing that really got me coming out of this was one of my uplines who had the courage to ask me and really sit in this question and say, okay, Chelsea, you feel stuck. You aren't moving. Things aren't growing. You've been behind Sapphire points for 1.5 years now. How long are you going to stay there? How long are you going to keep saying, I'm stuck? How long are you going to keep saying, I can't attract any new business builders? My team is not growing. I'm not attracting anybody else on social media. I've lost my spark. I don't know why this isn't working for me. How long are you going to continue to tell yourself this story? How long are you going to continue to stay in inaction? How long are you going to continue to believe the lie that maybe this is as far as you can go with this? Maybe gold is as far as I can go with this. Maybe ruby is all that the Lord has for me in this. I think for so long, there was this part of me that thought I was missing a piece of the puzzle. And that was kind of my thought in my head. I was like, I'm just missing a piece of the puzzle. If I can just get my hands on that magic message or that magic launch event or that magic posting strategy, I could do this. But what I really had to do is, and I'm not saying those things don't matter. Those things are absolutely matter. Like your verbiage matters, the way that you onboard people, it matters. But at the root of it, you have to just get so fed up with being in the same place that you're currently in and decide that you are going to change your actions. And it really, at the end of the day, it wasn't a piece of the puzzle that I was missing. It was me being willing to seek the change and make the change. It wasn't a piece of the puzzle that was missing. It was me being willing to seek the change that I needed to make and make the change. And I learned that those are two very completely different things. Wanting and trying, because for a long time, like I prided myself on being the hardest worker in the room. And maybe some of y'all relate to that. I think that Plexus a lot of us are just driven women. If you're an entrepreneur, there's just like a different gear that a lot of us have that other people don't have. And for a long time, I prided myself on being the hardest worker in the room. My parents were both entrepreneurs. Both of my sisters are entrepreneurs. And I knew from the get-go, this was going to take hard work. It was going to require sacrifice. And I'm here for all of that. Like, give me something to work on, and I'm going to pour my heart and soul into it. And there have honestly been seasons of this business where I ran myself in the ground trying to do all the things. But what I wasn't willing to do in a lot of those seasons was make the difficult 1-degree shift that was actually going to make the difference. And here's kind of what I mean by that. I think so often, so many of us, even with the best of intentions, so those of us who are here for the growth, those of us who are here for the hard, so many of us were so married to our comfort zone that we can't even see it. And this was me for a long time. You think you've stepped out of your comfort zone because you're posting on social media, or you've made a couple of reach outs this week, or you're hosting a wellness chat for a new person. We tell ourselves that we're doing what it takes. And we think that if we just try harder at those things, that we're going to be successful. I need to post harder. I need to message harder. I need to onboard harder. But what if you need to be willing to just think a different way? What if you need to show up to your business with a different energy and not a different action? What if instead of approaching your business with desperate energy and I'm behind energy and hustle energy, you need to approach it by going all in on the dream? And I know for me, like that has been probably the biggest key for me to turning our momentum around. And I want to tell y'all, I have been floored, like brought to tears at how different this past season, this last 9 months has felt, bringing in new business builders, bringing in women who are in alignment with my same values, bringing in other women who are like me, who are passionate about this business, not people that I'm dragging because I chose to put out a different energy. Because I was willing to actually show up and paint the picture of the dream for people. And it's so funny, even telling the story tonight of me getting on the phone call with Stephanie, who is my diamond upline. That's what she did for me on that first call. She painted the picture of the dream for me. And if she had been scared to paint that picture of the dream for me, because she's like, oh, what if I paint this picture and she doesn't do it? Like, what if I paint the picture of the dream and she gets to silver and she can't get any further? Like, I'm afraid to paint this picture of the dream for her because what if she doesn't actually get there? And then I've painted this false picture for her. I am convinced that is a huge obstacle that holds so many of us back, when what we really need to be doing is painting the dream, because the people who are here for it, those of us, like those of you on the call right now, are going to take hold of it and do what it takes to get there. So I think that's a huge part of it. And, I thought for 7 years, that's what I was doing. I thought that by sharing this opportunity, 1 to 2 times per week, because that was what my IPA sheet told me to do. I checked my box. I put a post of the opportunity in my stories, that I was sharing this opportunity and I was doing what I needed to do. But I've learned that if you really want to go all in with this and you want to attract other women with the same level of energy that you do, you have to cast vision for them. And that's not going to be done in 1 or 2 times per week, check in a box post. It has to become part of the DNA of who you are in your daily life and on social media. And for some of us, maybe that looks like to you, like you need to embrace the idea of being the plexus girl. I know for me, like that was a hang up for me for a long time. It was like, okay, I'm going to do this, but I'm not going to be the plexus girl. Like, I'm not going to be known as the network marketer. I'm not going to be known as the plexus girl. I'm going to kind of keep these two things separate. And what I've really learned is that once you like allow that marriage to happen, once you allow plexus to become part of who you are, and understanding that that means that you get to be a blessing to other families. That doesn't mean that you're slinging links. It doesn't mean that you're just out here trying to hustle money from people. You're out here with the purpose to try to change people's health and change people's lives. When that becomes the message that you're spreading, you're showing up with a different kind of energy, and it changes everything. And I kind of want to speak to that person tonight. If there's anybody on here tonight who's still kind of holding on to the notion that, when you make a post on social media that you should sign somebody immediately or get a new business builder, I want you to let go of that idea. Like we've got to let go of the idea that when we make a post about the product, I'm expecting a new triplex user. And I want you to embrace this idea. For those of us who are using social media, I'm assuming most of us are using social media here to grow our business, that it is the compound effect. I was actually just coaching one of my girls yesterday. She's killing it with her posts. I'll actually share her handle down here in the comments so y'all can follow her. She's going to be going gold here in the next couple of months. But let go of this notion that when you're posting, you're trying to get a customer out of it or a new business builder. You are painting a picture. And this is a compound effect, because what you're really after is the person who's watching your story. And maybe I'm not even gonna say maybe, she's probably not interacting. She's not liking, she's not swiping over on your stuff, but there are people who are watching you. And over 2 months, over 3 months, over 4 months, you've already handled so many objections with her and your stories. You've already casted so much vision with the dozens of stories that you're sharing about the community, about the products, about how you're feeling in your daily life, about, the income that you're bringing in, the opportunities that you're creating for your family, that when you make that bold reach out to her, because that's still a huge part of this. This is not just attraction marketing. They get reach outs and social media go hand in hand. But you will have built so much belief with her that when you make that bold reach out to her, she's ready. And that's a whole different approach when you're talking about sharing on social media. That's the attitude I want you to approach social media with. Forget the likes, forget the interactions. Y'all, there are diamonds that have 300 followers on Instagram and they get 6 likes on a picture. So we're going to throw out the vanity metrics. I want you to be showing up and paint a broad stroke picture. This is part of who you are and what you offer people, the community, the way you feel, the options you have for your family. Does anybody remember that movie? It's an old movie, When Harry Met Sally, and they're sitting at the table and she's having her moment and the girl looks over and she's like, I'll have what she's having. Like this, that's what we're after. We are after that kind of energy. We want people to be attracted to what we're putting out there so that when we're doing our job of messaging people, it's an easy yes. It's an easy yes. All right, I'm gonna wrap this part up because I know we're rolling on 30 minutes here. Something that kind of like marries in and like flows right into that is that your energy and your posture are everything. If you're somebody who's just showing up to this and you're just checking a box and you're not purposely checking your energy and purposely checking your posture every time you get in a voice message, every time you have a conversation with a customer or one of your business builders, or every time you get in stories, that's the first thing you need to do. Am I showing up with diamond energy or am I showing up with gold energy? Am I showing up with silver energy? And that's the beautiful thing about this is like, it doesn't matter where you fall in those ranks. It's a mindset. And sometimes you have to trick yourself. Sometimes you have to kind of tell yourself that you're somewhere you're not yet so that you can step into that space. I know for me, when I was senior gold ruby, I think I did a training on affirmations, and I am big on affirmations. I do a lot of affirmations with my kids. I'll do them with myself. But I would tell myself, I would kind of introduce myself and talk to myself as if I were Emerald Chelsea. And the thing that I would ask myself is when I got on stories and before I got into messages, how would Emerald Chelsea show up? Would she show up with senior gold energy, or would she show up with boss lady vibes? Like, would she show up with boss energy, knowing that I can get this girl where she needs to go, I can help her on her health journey, and I can be trusted? That's just a good exercise. But your energy and posture of everything are everything. And at the end of last year, when I was kind of having my confidence crisis, the kind of place that I found myself was I didn't have a single leader on my team who was in any sort of momentum. My Emerald sister, long gone. She doesn't do the business with me at all anymore. My other Emerald was walking through some big time, just personal challenges that she was working through. So she wasn't active. Her team had totally shut down. And all of my other leaders were gone. And I felt I was completely alone in this. And if you're in that season, I'm telling you, the only way forward out of that season is to go out and be your own freaking rock star, is to go out and create your own energy and create a new posture. And how do you do that? Like the first thing is just reference what we talked about just a minute ago. Start creating an energy that people want to be a part of. Start creating an energy that people want to be a part of. And a big part of that is getting crystal clear on your processes. Such a big part of this is mindset. I think that 80% of Plexus is mindset. But I also think that if you're not clear on your processes, and if you don't know how you're going to onboard a new silver, and you don't know how you're going to teach, you don't know what you're going to say if somebody responds to a business message, if you're not crystal clear on your processes, it's going to affect the way that you're showing up. So I want you to take some reflection time, like if you're kind of like, okay, gosh, like maybe that is something that's been holding me back. Maybe I'm not posting about the opportunity because I'm freaking scared to death that somebody's going to say yes. And I don't know what to say when she says yes. Like, I don't know how to onboard a new silver. I don't know what to say when I get on the phone with somebody who's interested in the business. If that's you, I want you to get with Hannah or Emily, get crystal clear on what your process is moving forward. That's going to reduce so much friction and allow you to show up so much more clearly. So get crystal clear on your processes first, and then just freaking go. Like, cast the vision on social media. Do reach outs with your diamond energy. You're on the boat, and it's like, who else is going to get on the boat with me? Who's coming with me? Because I'm going no matter what. Maybe Sarah's not getting on the boat. Okay, Christy, you're getting on the boat, and somebody's going to come with you when you're putting that kind of energy out into the world. And something beautiful is going to happen when you start to do that, because eventually you're going to develop your first new silver. Maybe it's your first silver ever. Maybe it's your 20th silver, but you haven't had one in a while. And it's going to do two things for you. If you have a dead team, or it doesn't matter, you're going to start building your own confidence again. You're going to remind yourself that I actually can do this. I went silver, so I can show somebody else how to go silver. I don't have to have a crazy big process. I know how I went silver. So if I can do it, I can show somebody else how to do it. I went senior silver. I can show somebody else how to do it, because that's really, at the end of the day, what this is. It's helping people hit silver, senior silver, get excited about this business, cast the vision, and do it over and over again. Do it over and over again. So the first thing it's going to do is build your confidence, but it's also going to start to build an energy on your team. If you don't have a team chat, I didn't at the time have a team chat. My team chat had fallen apart. So you know what I did? I started developing a couple of new silvers, and I had a team chat of me and 3 girls who went silver over the course of 2 months. And we started right there. I started pouring into those girls. I was sending podcasts to listen to, short trainings. I didn't know what I was doing, because I felt like I was starting all over again, but I was leading with excitement. I was leading with energy, and I was leading with vision. So that's what I want you to do. If you're in that place, like, make it simple, get clear on your processes, and show up with big diamond energy. And then the last thing I'll say, and then I can kind of open it up to some questions, is we have to, now that we've established these other things, because I think these things are a precursor on this last thing, but is once we've got our energy in check, once we've got our systems and our processes in check, and once we've kind of dealt with some of these lies that we're telling ourselves, we have to release the outcome and trust the process. Because the truth is that Hannah's next jewel may come knocking on her door tomorrow. My next jewel, I may not meet her until 2025. I may not meet her until next November. There is an element of this thing that is timing. And that's just the truth. Like, some people just fly to the top of this because they have influence. Some people go faster because they meet the right people at the right time. You have to be willing to release the outcome and trust the process, because if you're doing those things we just talked about, it is inevitable. You're not just keeping going, you are keeping growing. And that's the process that you can trust. Trust that things are going to unfold the way that God wants them to unfold. Just like I said, I'm 8 years into this thing, and the Lord is bringing me a team of women who I'm in alignment with, who share the same values, who are excited. And I cannot wait for my kids to go to school tomorrow. We do still homeschool. We do a hybrid 2 days a week. We're still keeping the dream alive, but they go to school 2 days a week. I cannot wait to take them to school tomorrow. I have 3 Zoom calls lined up with 3 of my new runners tomorrow, and I cannot wait to get on the phone with them, because I love the energy that they're bringing. And so letting go of the outcome and letting go of the timeline and trusting this process, again, not in the sense that you're just showing up every day without taking focused action and this is going to happen by miracle, but trust that if you are willing to actually do the things that scare you, to actually take a eval of your comfort zone and say, am I still in it? But I think I'm out of it, but am I actually still in it? If you're willing to do those things, you got to let go of the timeline. You got to let go of the outcome and trust this process, and jump in with both feet, with whole body, immerse yourself in it. Be the plexus girl. Like, let it become part of your DNA of who you are. Show up with an attitude, a radical service to the people in your audience, to the people on your team. And I promise you that 1 degree shift is going to change everything about your business. Truly. I believe energy is everything. in this. So that's kind of it in a nutshell, kind of what has shifted for us this past year. In the past, even just past 3 months, I've developed a new level 1 gold to, I have a new level 1 senior silver as of yesterday. I'll have another level 1 senior silver as of tomorrow. All of them are duplicating down and creating new silvers on their team. And it's just, and I'm sharing that because that hasn't been the case for me in 2 or 3 years. And so no matter where you are in your business, like you can breathe new life and new energy into your team. So I hope that encourages somebody tonight. I don't know, Hannah, if you want me to elaborate on any of that, I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody has, but that's kind of what's going on over here in our world.
That was amazing. I have an entire page of notes and just love where you went with this. I think a lot of times we'll get caught in like, I don't have any business builders, or I don't know like where to go from here. And you just gave us a plan and a map and so many like wisdom nuggets here on things that we can do and like we can take away from here and just evaluate where we're at and like really ask some hard questions with where's our mindset, where's our belief, where's our energy, and like bringing in the business builders, like all of us as leaders here are wanting more of that. And I feel like you just gave us the roadmap. Like we just, like we could go and evaluate our process and the conversations we're having, how like not just checking the box to show up, but really out of purpose and passion and the like in crazy ability that we have to impact other people's lives. And I feel like that is the foundation of where we want to be operating. And when you're not in that, that's where it can feel so much harder. And we get into that confidence gap. And it was just, I mean, I love it. And hitting the willingness like on the head, like, right? Like a lot of times it's not like, can we do it? It's, are we willing to do it? And so that is just, that's always a little like, yeah.
It's a little ouchy.
Yeah. Uh-huh. But in such a good way.
Yeah.
So anyone else have like thoughts, questions to ask Chelsea while she's here?
I'd
I
love to
know that,
know sorry.
go ahead.
When you were in that space for that year, like you said you were reading all the time, like what were some of the books that you really found helpful when you were in that space that year, if you can think of any of them off the top of your head?
Gosh, I remember reading How to Win Friends and Influence People Again. I read that one. That was one of the first books I ever read. And I love that one because it helped me bring me back to that connection piece of like, this is about people. This is about relationships. This is about people. I also read Keith Callahan's Build to Last. And if y'all have y'all done that one as a team? Keith Callahan, if you're not following him, he has are y'all plugged into his podcast? He's incredible. So I got turned on to him through Build to Last, an incredible book. He also has a podcast on Patreon. It's like a different platform. It's $7 a month, but he talks to like upper elite network marketing people. Amber Miller, Trisha Regar, like he's personally coaching a lot of the top teams in Plexus who are currently growing. He's coaching Marissa Adams. He is a genius. So that is an easy, like $7 a month. Yes, he does it pretty much daily during the week. They're like 5-minute podcasts and they're just little nuggets of everything from leadership to network marketing knowledge. But I listen to a lot of Ed Mylett too. I love his podcast. And he's not network marketing. He's just general like life guru, but he is like, if you need a dose of motivation and empowerment, just plug in. And he's just such a nice human. Also love, this is a more recent one, but Ambition Coalition. I listen to that one. I share that one with my team a lot. Just finding ways to keep your mindset in check, you know. Energy Bus was another one that I read during that season. It was really good. That's a good audio book. It's has a good kind of storytelling if y'all haven't read that one. But yeah, Keith is like number one for right now, I think. So good.
That's awesome. Any other thoughts or questions, ladies? Well, thank you so much, Chelsea. This was such a delight to have you here tonight and pouring into us. And I know all of us will be revisiting these notes and this recording, and we just appreciate you taking time to be here with us tonight.
Oh, thank you, friend. Thank you for letting me share. This was fun.
Yes. All right. Well, we will all touch base again. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.
Night, y'all.